Hi guys, I hope you're having a lovely start to the year. Hope your January's going well. Mine's definitely been a little bit up and down, but I think I've tackled it quite well. So I hope that however it's going for you, you're making the most out of it. I'm joining you from a park on a very moody day. And honestly, I kind of love it. Like, it's just so quiet. No one really wants to be in the moodiness and the cold. My boyfriend was even saying, like, it's so moody outside. Like, why would you want to film in it? Like, there's not even a little bit of sunshine and warmth. I don't know. I kind of love it. Is that strange? I don't know. And I also have the need to, like, talk really quietly because when you're in nature, like, everything is quite quiet apart from, like, the birds chirping. So almost feel like whispering, but I got a little mic. I hope that it still like catches whatever I'm saying quite well. And today is all about what is slow living. And I was a little bit hesitant to make it because, as I said, things have been a little bit up and down. But I thought like that's when I find that aspect the most useful, especially those times, is when I need a little bit of slowness. Thought I'm gonna still go ahead and talk about it. So nowadays I feel like there are a few terms related to like slow living, whether it's romanticizing or mindful living. There's quite a lot of like terms out there. So what we're going to do today is talk about what slow life is to me and simplify it into some tools and examples of how I like to connect to it in everyday simple life. And I just love that I can do this in nature and it's so still outside, so it really goes with today's topic. Firstly, especially in busy cities like London and especially in like the busy digital age of over-information that we live in, I genuinely can't imagine life without slowness, spaces in between, which without it would be so difficult for me to actually absorb or recollect anything that I experience. And a metaphor that I thought described this really well is life without slowness is like trying to read a book while flipping through the pages too fast. You might see the words, but you'll never feel the story. And I thought that was such a good way of putting it. So let's break it down a little bit. My first recollections of slow living would be growing up in nature. I used to spend a lot of time in the open, on a farm, and I guess that's where the foundations were created in realizing how important slowness is to me. For example, I can recall going on long walks to literally herd the animals and, you know, get the sheep or get the cows. Like, a standard farming experience. And I actually forget the little farmer girl in me sometimes that really finds peace in nature. And I'm so grateful for those years to actually grow up in that slowness. So I'd literally just presently be walking through the hills, noticing the vast space around, kind of just like now really. Other moments would be like collecting blackberries or mushrooms and literally doing nothing else, just that task, just focusing on berry by berry, no other distractions. Or, you know, like drawing or doing really simple puzzles, all of which just felt like really simple moments. And I think a lot of people have similar experiences from their childhood in terms of just doing a really simple task in a more fulfilling way. Look how beautiful the trees look behind me. It doesn't even look like the UK or like London, like the shapes of the trees. So it wasn't until like my late teens that I really started implementing slow living into my days with more intention. And it definitely took some figuring out on how to do it or what it meant to me. And I'm curious to know how you perceive slow living and what that means to you, because it can mean so many different things to different people. It's crazy. I feel so nice being out here that I'm not even noticing how cold it is. Like, look how red my hands are. So let's get into that, the tools and ways that I try to implement it. And of course, it's always learning and relearning of how to find slowness in your life. It's definitely not something that I would take as like a definition or, you know, this is how I'm always going to do it. But these are some of the ways that work for me currently. The biggest and kind of main tools that connect all of slow life for me are meditation and nature. And I find that when you meditate, you get a chance to face silence, to be comfortable with it. And just by that, you're introducing slowness into your life. Because when you meditate, you are literally doing nothing and prioritizing doing nothing over the rush of the to-do list at the start of the day. So it can already set a tone when you meditate in the morning because you're already prioritizing, when of course the to-do list will still have to be done. It's kind of like the way you're going about the setting tone of the day, if that makes sense. And there's this kind of familiarity of slowness through meditation. This practice or skill, you could say, enables you to recognize opportunities when you can slow down again at some points throughout the day. I thought this metaphor described it really accurately. Meditation is like planting anchors in a rushing river. It helps you to find steady ground even when life flows quickly around you. And an example of this meditative practice in slow living can be being a little bit more present when you're having your breakfast, you know, noticing your breath as you stir your coffee. It's like meditating while life still moves in front of you. And the other main tool being nature, that opens space and intuitive grounding really gives space to absorb more of that moment as well. The sounds, the visuals, and just watching and listening more fully without many distractions, which is kind of all part of slow living. We're going to go through some examples where you can try slow living and perhaps open to it a little bit more intentionally. First one is intentional travel. So let's say you're taking the tube to work or meeting your friends, and usually you listen to music or read a book during your 15-minute journey. And this time, to change it up or allow a little bit more slowness into the day, you can try to just do nothing and kind of meditate. No headphones, just looking outside the window, listening to the wind or the sound of the tube, and just facing that moment that you're in. And whenever your thoughts start planning the day again or doing whatever they do, just remembering to find your senses again and go back to doing nothing, go back to just watching and listening what is around. So the next one is to catch a break. So let's say you're walking somewhere or you get a chance to have like a lunch break and you just find a space like a bench, maybe with a little bit more nature, maybe if you're lucky with a riverside view, and just absorb how you are. You know, just a quick break to settle into the moment and into the day by noticing your breath and noticing what is happening around you and just how you are too. And simply, but not always simply, just letting yourself feel and be for a moment rather than engaging with everything else but you and the moment that you're in. I absolutely love this background. Doesn't it just look like a fairy tale, even though it's moody? So the next one is, just did an example of that, romanticize your routines, just that extra attention towards setting up or preparing something towards your day. Maybe a self-care evening with extra ambience, or a routinely thing like your setup before studying or working with like candles and the way that you arrange your setup. Like maybe making it a little bit more aesthetic with some arrangement of flowers. This can all be a part of a simple, slow life moment that gives space and allows you to breathe before doing the next thing, or being more physically intentional. Let's say you're going to do a yoga class or going for a bike ride, and in that session just coming back to how your body feels, finding attention through your senses rather than entertaining every thought during that session, or the main thought that you're having that day, just taking a little bit of space from that. And that's why I think I find exercise so helpful, because you can just focus on doing the exercise and take a break from whatever you're usually engaging in. So those are some practical examples that you can, just have fun and experiment with, and not saying that they're easy or necessary to do all the time. It's not very efficient, to just be slow all day, but rather maybe implement drops of that wherever possible, and everyone can approach it so differently and find what works for them. Honestly, I could just keep going and keep listing examples, because slow life is so intertwined with so many parts of the day. For now, we'll keep it simple and leave it there. Let me know if you implement slow life into any areas of your life, and maybe in some areas it just happens more naturally than others. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I really enjoyed having this walk in nature, and I'll see you in the next one.